What's up? Welcome back to the At the Buzzer podcast. I'm DC and I'm here with
Colin.
no G Money today. Unforeseen circumstances, but we back with another episode. This one is going to primarily be the NBA. There's been a lot going on.
Man.
Let's just get right into it. Luka for AD. Broke the internet. Broke the internet.
Actually.
What was your initial reaction? I know Colin Half Show did make a video about this. Go check that out. But what was your initial reaction?
I'm doing something job related, and I take my phone out of my pocket and I see it. I'm like, okay, that's funny. I thought it was Centel. Thought it was like the knockoff accounts, and then I just put my phone down and get back to what I'm doing. Open up my group chat and it's like 80 messages, and I'm like, hold on, this is real. And I was just like, no way. You know, there was no rumors about it. Typically, when you have a move like that, you have a little bit of a tremor beforehand. Like, you get some rumors, you get some tip-offs about it. Someone knows something. No one had a clue that was going to happen.
Right.
One of the biggest shockers I've ever seen in my following of the NBA.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like basically the exact same reaction. Like, no,
Right.
You're playing.
Exactly.
Because when it happened, we were leaving Royal Rumble. Got some content out about that, though. Go check that out. But, you know, Lucas Oil traffic after a big event is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And I was the one driving, so I wasn't really trying to look at my phone. I'm trying to hurry up and get out of this parking lot so I can go home.
Exactly.
And then once I get home, I finally get to check my phone, and it's a million messages.
Yeah.
I'm getting like the tweet notifications, Instagram group chat, iMessage group chat. People texting. My dad texted me.
Yep.
I'm like, is this real? So I did a real search to go check, and I come across Sham's tweet like, yes, this is real, guys. This trade happened. Like, if you're the GM of the Mavericks, do you make that trade?
I know this isn't the popular take, but I clearly understand why Dallas made the move. From the sense of, you have Luka Doncic, right? A guy that's a superstar now and on a path to end his career like an all-time great.
Yeah.
However, there are very legitimate concerns, and we've seen the archetype of his career play out before. Whether you like it or not, he's very close to James Harden. If you get down to the moveset, the philosophy of how they play, but you think about Harden shape-shifting in season, out of season, going from, looking like he's in the gym every single day to looking like he's not working out at all. Mm-hmm. Some of the issues he's dealt with later on in his career with injuries and a difficulty adjusting to other styles of play because he wasn't that good off ball, didn't play defense. The path for Luka to be that is very evident. So I understand why people are upset. But you have to think about it like this. If I'm scared that the future of my franchise isn't committed to playing at a high level and doing the things, in all honesty, the bare minimum of what you're required to do to keep yourself in an elite way on the court, I'm not going to continue to invest in you. It doesn't make sense. And he's had ample opportunities now. Yeah. We saw it early in his career. He's now 25. He's had multiple seasons to work on it. The defense showed in a major way in the finals. He got called out. He was in pick and roll. He was getting switch hunted. So I understand.
kind of tell that was Missoula's entire game plan is to go attack you, which is like how you say, like, I get it. Mm-hmm. And, like, his weight fluctuations, they said he's, like, 270 right now.
Yep.
And my biggest gripe with Luka has always been his defense, plus his constant complaining with the officials, which the Dallas front office came out and said that was another thing that they didn't like.
Right.
And I think they also said something about he seems like he doesn't take practice serious either. Mm-hmm. So I get why, like, kind of get why you want to move him, but it's hard for me to really wrap my head around. You make it to the finals for the first time in, 11 years?
Yeah.
13 years. And it's the middle of the season and you trade your franchise face.
Yeah.
And it's like the GM has came out and said both of the people he told about talked to about the trade prehand laughed in his face. And he even said he didn't want to come out with it publicly before it happened because he knew nobody would like it.
Yeah.
That I feel like that should just show you how ridiculous this is.
I promise you, I didn't get up today and just say I want to be different. Like, that was really not my intention. But you think about it like this also. Dallas is competitive right now, made the finals last year. Right now, they're the 11th seed. But they're only separated 3 games from the 5th seed. You turn in maybe the single-day biggest swap defensively of all time. You have a guy that is a very poor defender in all assets, and you flip him for quite possibly one of the greatest defenders of all time. Your defense is bound to jump. I'd say they're probably a top 7 defense by the end of the season. Offensively, they're 7th already, and that's with Luka being hurt a month plus of the season. So they can generate good looks with Kyrie at the helm. They're going to be a better offensive rebounding team. Now, the fit with Gafford, Lively, and AD is a little weird. I think in the next day, really, they should be pushing to trade one of those guys, obviously Lively or Gafford. So I really do get it. This move, if you're going to sell and sell quickly, this move makes sense. But, a bit of a side note, I wanted to ask you, there's been so many storylines that have branched out of this trade, like Nico and Rob Pelinka, this developing over just a coffee link-up, and, questions about Luka's conditioning, and did you hear they said that Rob told him the clear problems with Luka was going to be his weight management, his alcoholism. So they're saying he gaslighted him into making that trade.
That's probably manipulation into getting y'all best player. Low-key cook.
Low-key.
I'm not going to lie. If you're a general manager and you're falling for that, that's your fault. To be honest.
Yeah.
One thing I keep seeing, and you clearly have a different point of view on it, but one thing I keep seeing is that Dallas got fleeced in the trade. They had an F-graded trade.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see that. I don't think they're going to be that bad.
F is crazy.
Luka obviously was a huge part of the team.
Mm-hmm.
Let me get that out of the way. But they still have Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis. They still have, why can't I think of his name right now?
Gafford, Lively.
Yeah, they have Gafford and D-Live.
Jaden Hardy.
Najee Marshall.
Yep.
He's had a great year this year. They still have him. They still have Jaden Hardy. And like you said, they're about to become a way better defensive team.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to be that bad.
No.
And the thing with the Lakers, I want to talk about the Lakers side of it too. Obviously, you got Luka Doncic, and he's going to get mentored by LeBron James.
Right.
That's going to be huge and scary for the league eventually.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see them becoming super scary right now, though, because they still don't have a big.
Right.
Oh, don't give me Jackson Hayes and Dorian Finney-Smith.
No.
Jokic is going to drop 50, 40, and 30 on y'all in one game.
Actually.
But I do like the idea of the Lakers getting their next face now.
Yep.
And having him get mentored by LeBron now. Because Luka is only 25 right now, actually. He'll be 26
wild.
at the end of this month.
Right.
So I see it as kind of a win-win for both sides.
Thank you.
Dallas is getting overhated. Like I said earlier, trading away the player that got you to the finals in the middle of the season is a little odd to me. But I think in the long run, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
You know?
I hear you. I just think we live in a culture where it's very easy you have to pick a right and a wrong. It's not popular to explore the nuance of a situation. LA got their future. Prestigious organization, superstar after superstar. You go out and get that next cornerstone. Dallas was unsure about him, so they went out. And I don't care what anyone says. You can't get an F trade when you receive Anthony Davis. He's averaging like 26 and 12, is quite possibly the best defender of this generation. How is that an F? At the bare minimum, you will still be competitive and you'll be somewhat in a playoff race. The Mavs are 11th. Luka's played, I know he was hurt for a month, but Luka's played games this season. They haven't been all that great. And I just don't like the idea that also on LA's side, okay, we throw LeBron and Luka together, we're bound to go to the finals. Who's going to defend? Austin Reeves, Luka, and a 40-year-old LeBron aren't keeping anyone out of the paint. Dribble penetration is going to be so easy. And like you said, Jackson Hayes.
I'm not moved at all.
At all. Like, that is easy. That's slim pickings. Pick and roll, one-on-one in the post, he's getting cooked. So you're not stopping anyone. And then you got to figure LeBron and Luka have consistently been two of the top guys in terms of having the ball in their hands time per game. So how is that going to work? Is Luka willing to play off ball a little bit? Is he willing to move? Is he willing to cut? LeBron has been a good cutter his entire career. But as he gets older, these things aren't as easy.
Yeah.
So there's some nuance to the situation. It's not as easy as just saying the Mavs got fleeced, because they didn't.
Yeah. You got to look at the entire picture.
Yeah.
There was another big trade, what was it, the next day?
Mm-hmm.
Or later that day, actually. 3-team trade between the Spurs, Kings, and Bulls. De'Aaron Fox got what he wanted, got to San Antonio.
Mm-hmm.
Zach LaVine finally got off of the Bulls roster, and he's in Sacramento now. And then, I mean, the Bulls got Kevin Huerter, Trey Jones, and Zach Collins. But they did get a first-round pick, and it's their own. And I think it's a favorable one from San Antonio. So you can tell the Bulls are fully committed to just the rebuild now. They got rid of 2 of DeBalzac.
Mm-hmm.
And Lonzo's probably not going to be a Bull for too much longer either.
I doubt it.
So I'll say the Bulls, they did what they wanted to do. They got rid of their star, and they're about to start the rebuild. The Spurs, great trade.
Great trade.
They got De'Aaron Fox, pairing that with Wemby for a few years.
Yep.
While keeping Stephon Castle is huge. And I think the Kings might have won the trade, though, because they got Zach LaVine out of it. And what is this? 6 picks?
Yep.
3 first-rounders? What did you think?
I'm going to go in reverse order, starting with the Kings. Great haul. I saw Twitter was clowning the Mavs because they were like, De'Aaron Fox, you got 6 picks out of him, you only got 1 for Luka. That was funny. Obviously, there's more to the situation. You get Anthony Davis back. But I like the haul there. And you got to think about it like this. There's no way they're actually thinking about having a core of Zach, DeMar, and Sabonis moving forward. Yeah. If I'm them, you need to commit to the rebuild as well. You saw how far you could go. I think you maxed out. Go ahead, next deadline, get rid of DeMar, get rid of Sabonis, get rid of Zach as well, bring in some more picks. Try to go the OKC route. Stack up, get as much draft capital as you can, and then see what you can do on the back end of that. You'll have cap space as well. It's not like Sacramento's a major destination, but you might be able to sign some good veterans to accompany the young talent that you'll be drafting. The Spurs did exactly what you needed to do. Didn't have to give up Stephon Castle. That was a great point. Fox and Wemby are maybe the most athletically intimidating duo around, I think, right now. The speed of Fox is a nightmare for a defense, and then you've got this 7'4" fluid athlete that can move off the ball, play with the ball in his hands, and they have strengths that really complement each other. His downhill pressure is going to allow Wemby more space, more open three-point opportunities, and Wemby's ability to pull bigs out of the paint is going to make Fox a better driver. So I think that's a perfect compliment. The Bulls, they're fully committed to the rebuild, but I feel like they could have gotten more. Getting Trey Jones, a serviceable backup point guard, you might want to hold on to him. Zach Collins, a decent backup big, and Kevin Huerter, who just seems to completely have fallen off the map. It's okay, but where are the picks at? You need that draft capital. Buzelis is seeming to be decent, but I don't know if exactly he's the guy that they need. So I really feel like more work should be aimed at the draft. So I don't know. I feel like their grade is probably like a low C minus maybe.
Yeah.
I would have liked a lot more focus on draft picks rather than just serviceable talent you'll keep around.
I feel that. I'm excited to see D Fox and Wemby though.
Oh yeah.
And obviously Chris Paul's on the team.
Right.
And Stephon Castle. He's a very exciting rookie.
Side note, before we move on, all this motion has happened, and no one's better than OKC yet. Like, I know that's a random point to bring in, but to me, that just shows how freaking good that roster is, dude, from top to bottom. And the trade deadline isn't even over yet. Nope. They've got all those picks, and Cam Johnson is still out there. I feel like that's a deal that can be done in the next day. I'm just so impressed by their brand of basketball, their GM work, the front office, the coaching, the playing. It's off the chart, man. If you don't watch OKC, go watch some OKC, bro.
Right.
Do yourself a favor.
Still got like 18 hours.
Yep.
To get busy. A trade that happened today, February 5th. Kuzma and Patrick Baldwin to the Bucks for Chris Middleton and A.J. Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about that? I think actually, I don't know who won that one because I think the Bucks can get better with Kuzma.
Yeah.
It depends on how Kuzma buys into the role,
mm-hmm.
which, I mean, we've seen Kyle Kuzma. He's not the most mature player, but we'll see. But I do think it was good of the Bucks to get rid of Middleton. I mean, he's had great years for them. Obviously, he got a ring.
Yeah.
Was a huge part of that championship run, but he's been heavily injured the past few years, and even when he does play, his stats don't jump off the page anymore. Mm-hmm. Contract coming up, I think, too, so it was good to get something out of that. But, I mean, the Wizards just continue to be mid because Chris Middleton does not really change anything. Get Poole Party out of there, man.
Free Jordan Poole, bro. Get him to a decent team. No one really deserves to be on Washington.
Literally, except Julius Randle.
Yeah, I agree with that. Get him on a flight over there tomorrow. I don't care.
Send Rudy Gobert while y'all at it.
Right. Send them both. But I like this. I feel like it's really unfortunate. Kuzma has become what I call a meme hooper. Jordan Poole is that as well. And it's just kind of a circumstance where people...
Modern-day Shaq and a fool.
Actually, people look at it and detract away from actually what they can do on the court because of some of the goofy moments, some of the off-the-court antics. But at the end of the day, Kyle Kuzma can play basketball. He's sizable, athletic, can shoot. He is a bulldozer in transition, especially this season. I've been watching a fair amount of tape on him as the trade deadline has come up. Dude, when he gets going downhill, he's moving bigs. I was watching their game versus the Raptors sometime in the last month. He put Podol on the ground, bumped Euro right through his chest, put him on the ground. A couple of guards tried to get in the way, put them on the ground. He's a wrecking ball in transition. I think he's a great piece for Milwaukee. Only going to up their pace, which they're already at 9th in the league. Offensively, you add another guy that can shoot, and you got to think he's facing the toughest defensive coverages being the number one on a terrible team. he's now the number 3 on a decent team. I don't want to give Milwaukee too much credit, but he's going to be the last guy that you're game planning for out of that 3. So I think that's a positive move. He's a really good rebounder, which is something they need because I still don't trust them all the way defensively. But you need a guy that can close out some possessions, play with some pace. So I really like the move. And I'm just really sorry for Chris Middleton. I feel like he's put in too much work to be stuck in Washington.
Yeah. At least we know. Well, actually, do you think his career is? You think he's about to retire soon?
Middleton?
Yeah. Or
it wouldn't be surprising.
Do you think Washington will just get rid of him, like waive him?
I think he'll probably get bought out,
Okay.
and some contending team will try to go and get him, which would make a lot of sense because he's a great guy to try to go and get that can space the floor for you, handle and create a little bit. Every now and then he'll still pop and give you 25, give you a really solid performance. Mm-hmm. Chris Middleton can still hoop, so I would love to see a decent team try to go and track him down.
Big trade that happened as we were recording.
Oh, my goodness.
Jimmy Butler is now a Golden State Warrior.
Woo!
But let me pull it back up. Who was it in exchange for?
Wiggs, Schroeder, Kyle Anderson, and a first-round pick.
For just Jimmy Butler. But he did already resign, even though he said he wouldn't.
Yeah.
I think, side note, they need to stop putting Draymond Green on Big 3 graphics in 2025.
Right, we're past that.
Way past that. But I do think the Warriors got a lot better.
Okay.
Because all the off-the-court stuff with Jimmy and, like all of that, I get it. That's hard to want on a team. But he can still hoop.
Yeah.
Still one of the best defenders in the league.
Mm-hmm.
And he can go out and score for you. And, we've seen his mindset, and we've seen that mindset seep into his teammates, especially when it really starts to matter. So I do think the Warriors got better because they had been looking for that second star all season, really. But I think they gave up too much. Like, low-key way too much.
Too much. Way too much. Audience, viewers, I am not moved. I am not moved at all. I like Jimmy Butler. But in my mind, which is just my mind, I don't want to make that seem as if basketball-wise I know everything. I don't see the fit. It doesn't make sense to me. You've got a team that doesn't really run pick and roll. They're predicated on movement. And Jimmy's a solid cutter, but you look at the twos that they've had in the past that have been staples. Early in the season, it was Buddy Hield, the guy that's going to come off movement, shoot for you. You've had Klay Thompson, another guy, another movement shooter, putting an on-ball dominant guy in a team that's already lacking spacing. You just gave up one of your better 3-and-D guys. I'm just confused. You're getting rid of Andrew Wiggins, who's having a bit of a bounce-back year. You're giving up Dennis Schroeder, who I never thought was going to be a good fit because he's another pick-and-roll heavy guard. And Butler's not the biggest pick-and-roll guy, but he's on ball, likes to get to the post, likes isolations, a lot of things that Golden State doesn't do consistently. So I'm worrying about the fit. I don't know if it makes sense. And you're going to be playing at times with him on the court, Draymond Green, let's say Trace Jackson Davis, Steph, and Moses Moody. Where's the space going to be at? I'm more than comfortable helping off of Jimmy. People have made careers helping off of Draymond Green. Trace isn't drawing that much attention. So it's just going to be Steph running around, running into double teams. I feel like this is a very forced deal. It's just I want to get an all-star. And so I'm just going to throw something at the wall and see what sticks. I think Zach LaVine would have been a much better fit.
A lot better. Like,
Yeah.
night and day better.
So I'm not moved by this deal, and I don't think this really boosts Golden State. But I do want to come back to the point that you made. Jimmy Butler, if he's anything, is a dog. And that competitive spirit travels wherever he goes, for better or for worse. He will either motivate your team or turn everyone against each other, because at the end of the day, he's got one goal, and that is to win.
Yeah.
So I think a team like Golden State that has championship-level experience, a dog like Steph that is not happy with the current state of the team, I think if anything, that will supercharge them a little bit. And defensively, you can see an uptick. I think he'll be a major boost on that end. But offensively, I don't see the fit, and that could be a big problem come postseason.
Yeah, that's kind of was my point. Like, not to, at the risk of sounding like I'm about to backtrack, I think if they get that specific Jimmy, the Jimmy that carried the Heat through the playoffs like 3 times,
Yeah.
I think if they get that Jimmy, they will be all right.
Yeah.
But we'll have to see. I do think it's time that people. I've kind of always been a Jimmy hater because, well, I mean, I grew up a Pacers fan, Bulls, Central Division rivals, but every team, every stop he's been at, he's found a way to force himself out publicly and in a bad way. So I think that should start showing people that he's the problem. Every single team, like, there was the whole Wolves stuff, which became a big joke, and I mean, obviously added to Jimmy's aura, I guess, because he beat the starters. But that was a really toxic team environment. Yeah, started by Jimmy, and same thing happened in Philly. He used his battle with the front office.
Y'all gonna choose Tobias?
He used his whole battle with the front office and let it affect his team chemistry, and then the Sixers started losing. Yeah. And then now we've seen it with the Heat. He's been suspended multiple times this year for conduct detrimental to the team, and the Heat haven't been good this year. So I don't know if I would have sent the house to Miami just to get Jimmy back after seeing what he's done in every single stop. But we'll just have to see. Wait and see.
Yeah. I think that's a good point, and you got to think about the temperament of that team already. Steph seems like he's on the breaking point. Yeah. A lot more visibly frustrated than we've seen him in years past. Draymond was willing to show up Kevin Durant. When the game was on the line, he didn't think that Kevin's method of playing at the end of the game was Warriors basketball, and he was willing to die on that hill.
And that's why Kevin left.
And Jimmy seems much more confrontational than Kevin. I'm not saying that Kevin isn't that type of guy, but it took a moment where Draymond literally threw the game away. Yeah. It seems like Jimmy goes it next for much less than that. So I think that dynamic also is pretty fragile. And if it doesn't boom very quickly, like you said, it could be another really rough exit. But you're stuck with this guy who's getting up in age, isn't the greatest, most explosive athlete, and for lack of a better term, he's a more polished DeMar DeRozan. His playing style is also falling out of grace in the league. So if this doesn't work, where does Jimmy go now? Right. As he gets older and as he's less of a threat on ball. So if this doesn't work, I think it could end catastrophically for both sides. Yeah.
Now, at the time of this recording, the trade deadline is not over. So, we could still see. But it's looking like Miles Turner has passed the 2025 trade deadline talks.
Why?
5th or 6th year in a row. It's because the Pacers have been the best team in the NBA in 2025. Yeah. It's 10-2 in January. The last 24 games, they're 17-6 or 18-6. Right. Playing really great ball. Finally getting back to the Pacers we saw last season. They're moving the ball well, pushing the pace well. They jumped from middle of the pack in offensive efficiency and like pace to now they're top 7, I think.
Yep.
They retook the lead in assists per game as a team. So I think the Pacers are playing perfect ball right now. And I don't think Buchanan wants to really change that with moving Miles Turner. I do think there are still trade talks for like Obi Toppin, especially because a lot of teams want Obi.
Yeah.
And I mean, I would listen to offers as well.
For sure.
But yeah, I don't think they make any moves. But yeah, I had to give a shout out to the Pacers, man. They've been hooping.
No, you absolutely have to. Credit to Darren. He's really always been tapped in on the Pacers scene. Writes, content about them as well. Seeing them defensively, I think we were watching a Pistons game last week, right before we were recording. Seeing them trap full court, do some different things defensively. Tyrese seems more brought in on that end. Pascal's having a great season. He's playing fantastic basketball. Benedict Mathurin has really looked good most of this year. I see exactly what you're saying. You don't want to move that around too much. You've got something good. And they flat out been the best team in 2025. I would love to see them go and get Cam Johnson, man. Like, I would love to see everyone go and get Cam Johnson. Like, Cam Johnson works for all contending teams.
Get him out of Brooklyn.
Yeah, he's riding away over there. But seeing Indy go and get a versatile 6'8" guy that can do everything you need from the forward spot, play with some pace, space things out for Tyrese, give them more defensive flexibility, I like that move. And the East is looking very different. Boston doesn't have the chokehold we thought that they would, and New York is really close to dethroning them for that second seed. So if Indy can stay in it, you've got a first-round matchup likely with Milwaukee or Miami. Those are both very winnable. Who knows what can happen? And you make a slight roster tweak. You maybe go out and get on the buyout market. If a guy like Chris Middleton's available, you go buy him out. You add 2 prominent wings. Indy can hang with anyone. They've got to win over the Cavs. They played Boston tooth and nail last year. They can beat the Knicks. I don't care what anyone says. They can beat Milwaukee. They can beat Miami. So it could get real crazy. I'm very excited to see what the Pacers can do.
Same. Yeah, like you said about their defense, I think that's what flipped the script for them because the first half of the season, they were looking pretty bad.
Yeah.
Like, I'll say mid to be nice. But once Rick Carlisle started to emphasize full court pressure.
Yep.
Like, teams last year, they saw us moving the ball super fast on offense, and that took them by storm. And, they weren't ready to adjust to that. So now let's kind of flip that on them and make them have to adjust to us playing fast-paced defense as well, which is something a lot of people don't talk about is fast-paced defense. They speed the other team's guards up so that their offense can't even get set up. And, I mean, if they're consistently getting steals or tip passes in the back court, it's going to affect the entire team for the entire game. Like, we've seen it especially when T.J. McConnell is in the game and the roster is like T.J., Andrew Nembhard, and Ben Shepherd. That's kind of scary lineup.
Yeah.
And, I mean, we've seen Andrew Nembhard was the Eastern Conference Defensive Player of the Month for January. He averaged 2 steals. And I just think now that the Pacers have kind of figured out the defensive side, which is what everybody said was their bad side last year, which, I mean, it was.
Yeah.
I think now that they figured that out, they're even scarier. And like you said, the East, I know the Cavs have only 10 losses, and they're the first team to 40 wins, but they don't have it solidified.
No. That's another really, really good point. You got to think about the philosophy that the Pacers can sport now. We're going to sprint you on the offensive end. We're going to press every advantage we get, play with pace. And then now defensively, we're going to play with pace. We're going to be as fast as possible. You don't think about this, just watching games and being a fan, but the conditioning level it takes to be constantly in transition, defending them on the run, and then having to beat full court pressure. Your guard, like, I just had to be the sole guy to get back. Now TJ McConnell's in my face, and he's pressing me full court. I can't get the ball over till 16, and now we've only got really 10 seconds to set our offense up and actually run something. When if you get it over at 21, we can run something, we can flow into a pick and roll. If you help, I can then kick it out so I can get to read 3, 4, 5. But that pressure limits you to 1 or 2. So I really like that philosophy. Another team, man, that's why I need less complaints about modern basketball. Go and watch these games.
You don't watch ball. Like,
exactly.
That's just been my stance, my just takeaway from it. They don't watch basketball
At all.
So anytime anyone says anything like that, I'm just like, okay.
Yeah.
You got it.
Right.
But you gave that shout out to Pascal Siakam. He just was named a 3-time All-Star this year, last week. So let's talk about the reserves. Me and you, I've already kind of talked about it, who we liked.
Right.
And, we love Cade. So
absolutely.
Very happy to
Shout
see
out.
CC get that first All-Star nod. Also happy for Şengün and Wemby. They got their first, and Jalen Williams.
Yep.
But we also got to talk about the snubs. And while I am happy that J-Dub is an all-star, I would have given it to Sabonis. This is a second year straight that Sabonis has been a snub in my eyes. He leads the NBA in rebounds and double-doubles again for the second year in a row. But the Eastern Conference snubs are a lot harsher. Why is Trae Young still not an all-star?
Right.
He's consistently had 22 and 11 for the past, 4 years?
Yep. Hold on. Let me get this full roster up because I've got my fair amount of complaints. But yes, let's go ahead and start. Let's start with Trae Young. Tyler Hero and Damian Lillard, you shouldn't be there over him.
No.
There's no reasonable argument for that. Trae Young is averaging, as of last time I checked, 22 and 11. He's got this team competing in the East. Jalen Johnson's down for the year. I said this last week, not another all-star in sight. Actually, 23 and 11, excuse me. Dame, if we're just looking at raw averages, Dame is at 25 and 7. Tyler Hero is at 23 and 5. Shout out to Miami. They're doing their thing. They're 6th right now in the East. But he is not Trae Young.
No.
And Trae just went to Detroit, put Beasley on skates, iced the game, has been clutch, been a performer all year long. I genuinely don't know where he went wrong and what he's done to be disrespected like this in his career. And you saw it. There was hints of it very early on. The praise that Luka got for making the Western Conference Finals versus Golden State, I think it was 2022, was very different than when Trae did it a year earlier. People just kind of acted like it didn't happen, it wasn't important. When this dude, once again, led a team whose Clint Capella was their second best player to the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't get it. I don't get it. And I don't know. I'm not gathering reasonable points as to why Trae isn't getting the respect he deserves.
What, Adam Silver, what did he do to you, bro? Because there's something nefarious going on.
Right. I hate to say this because this has been a very special season for Darius Garland.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's been better than Darius Garland.
Yeah, I don't know how DG being an all-star.
Listen, even Donovan Mitchell. Mitch is averaging 23 and 4. He's averaging what Tyler Hero is. And don't get me wrong, he's a better player than Tyler Hero, obviously. But Trae Young is putting up the same points with literally 7 more assists a game.
Leading the league in assists.
If you take out the variables of having 3-point shots, they're both generating 23 points. He's generating 22 points if you're just taking twos off of assist when Mitchell's only generating 8. On a base level, he's giving you so much more offensive production than any of these guards, even Jalen Brunson. And I'm not a fan of how the decision making went down this year.
Yeah, I don't like Brunson being a starter.
No.
And I get it. The Cavs have 40 wins. You want to like represent them at the All-Star game with 3 of them, but why?
Yeah.
You would have been fine with D. Mitch and Evan Mobley. Shout out Evan Mobley though. First time All-Star nod.
Shout out to him.
Definitely deserves it.
And who was your other big one? You said Sabonis.
Yeah, I think those were my 2 biggest snubs. Like, you know, I'm a Sabonis fan.
Yeah.
I was kind of sad to see him go when the Pacers traded him, but obviously our return was very great, so I can't be too mad about that. But I think what Sabonis does night in and night out is all-star worthy.
Very.
Now, the West front court is very stacked, so it'd be hard, but I don't know.
You know, respect to Jaren Jackson, having a really good year, but I wouldn't have mind seeing Sabonis get in over him. Sabonis is giving you 14 rebounds a night and 6 assists. Respectfully, Jaren Jackson Jr. is being very underwhelming when it comes to rebounding, and that's been, I think, a knock against him his entire career. You look at most of the guards in the West, and they're competitive with him when it comes to rebounding. Shea's averaging 5.2, Ant's averaging 5.7, J-Dub 5.6, Harden 5.7. He's 6.1, and you're 7 foot. Yeah, that's not looking very great. So I wouldn't mind seeing that. Shout out to Sengun, shout out to Wemby, shout out to J-Dub. Anthony Edwards should have been a starter.
Yeah,
like there's no world where Steph should be starting over him. And call me crazy, but LeBron falls into the front court category. AD should have been a starter over him. AD's been the best player on the Lakers all year.
Oh, yeah.
You can make an argument, a reasonable argument, in my opinion, for Sengun or Wemby. You know, I think LeBron is obviously physically taking a step back, rightfully so. He's 40 years old. But we got to stop just saying, oh, big guy that has, been a front runner for the league for years now, throw him in the starting lineup. Him and Steph shouldn't be there.
No.
And I get Steph's the host, so maybe a little bit more politics go into that, but we got to stop that. It's got to be done.
Am I going to sound crazy if I say KD should have been an all-star? Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
I don't know about starter.
I'm not really upset about it. If you said Anthony Edwards over him in the starting lineup, I rock with it. Sengun, I can see it. Anthony Davis, I can see it. I'm not going to give J-Dub the nod yet. Wemby, I could see it,
Yeah, I would have put Sengun in there because, he's the guy on the Rockets, and they're, are they still third in the West? If not third, then they're 4th or 5th, and they were pretty bad last year.
They're third, yeah.
So, I don't know. I would have put him in the starting lineup. And it is a different format this year. We'll really kind of break that down next week because All-Star Weekend is next weekend. So we'll break that down next week. But there is the sports event, I guess, is what everybody says is happening on Sunday. We got to give our Super Bowl predictions.
Yep.
Now, since G Money isn't here, I'll go with his first. He got the Eagles winning 31-27. I'll say I want the Eagles to win. I do. But if y'all don't know me by now, I'm very anti-NFL. I think it's the most rigged league out of all of them. I think it has the most politics in play. So the Chiefs are going to win.
Yeah.
Probably. Actually, I like that score 31-27, just the other way. But I want Philly to win, and I want to see Saquon get that Super Bowl MVP.
I'm really not looking forward to Sunday at all.
I'm not. Honestly, guys, I'm not even going to watch it.
I might tune in, just so that we can talk about it on the next pod. That's the only reason I'll be watching. But it's going to be a back and forth game. If the Eagles can get it done, it's going to be on the back of that running attack. But Spags is a defensive mastermind, knows how to keep pressure on Jalen Hurts when they do throw the ball. So I think that could be very interesting. Get him into a few turnover situations, and maybe you stack the box, first down, second down, and then it's all out blitzes, later on those possessions. But I do want to say this because I was thinking about this. I don't want it to be a situation where it's like, I just whine about KC. Like, they're a great football team. Mm-hmm. They're a fantastic football team. Patrick Mahomes is the second most talented quarterback of all time behind Aaron Rodgers. I'm gonna stick with that. But generational talent nonetheless. You have a generational play caller and head coach in Andy Reid. Respect to them for always finding a way. Yeah. And so I believe that they're going to do that with assistance from the NFL and the referees. So I got the Chiefs winning, I don't know, like 27-23, something like that. Yeah. And it's going to be one of those type of games, back and forth. KC makes some plays. We hear "not like us" 15,000 times. I'm good, bro. I'm not really excited, but I'm just kind of here, so let's get it over with.
Right. I mean, I guess it's my job to watch it, so I will.
Yeah, but, unfortunately.
Yeah, kind of on your point, Kansas City is a great team. They have every right to be called a dynasty. Mm-hmm. I mean, every year Patrick Mahomes has been a starter. He's been to the AFC Championship or the Bowl, which has only been 7 years, which is insanity. Actually. And like you said, they do always find a way. Andy Reid is one of the best coaches ever, probably the best offensive coach ever.
Yeah.
And you talk about Spagnuolo, he's a really great defensive coach too. And they have great players on the roster, but it's just weekly we see so much cheese happen that it makes it hard to even believe in it. But I'm going to say it right now, bro. Saquon is going to have a touchdown run that ices the game or takes the lead late, and we're just going to see a flag somewhere.
Holding. It's so disappointing because, like we said, Chiefs are a great team. They don't need help. Just let them play football. Last week, some of the calls that got made later in that game, the Bills kind of shot themselves in their own foot. Mm-hmm. They didn't need the assistance. Just let them play ball. Give the Eagles a reasonable chance. And, I mean, just for the whole game, take some of the circus out of it. I know this was a big conversation last year, but in all seriousness, why are we panning to Taylor Swift 30 times in a game? Get her on there once. That's how we treat most celebrities. Keep it pushing.
Like, at first, I was thinking, like, okay, y'all are doing too much. Like, to people complaining about that. Like, y'all are doing too much. I mean, she is one of the biggest names in the world, and she's dating one of the biggest names in the football world. So, of course, they're going to keep showing her. But, man.
It's a little much, brother. This is just going to be one of the most industry Super Bowls of all time. Oh, yeah. The rollout with the halftime show. And you can call me a hater, but I'm not trying to see Kendrick perform. Kendrick is a great artist, but what is he? He doesn't have a lot of songs that you play in a Super Bowl setting. I don't want to hear "Not Like Us" 30 times. We heard it all year last year.
What do you think the line is going to be, like the over-under 4.5 times he plays it?
at least 4 times. I think at least 4 times. And okay, SZA is gonna come in and
That's what I'm looking forward to the most.
yeah, like
SZA coming out.
shout out SZA. I hope you save the day, but I'm not trying to hear that. Hopefully they get another guest performer in there, but it's just gonna be such an industry circus all night long. Not looking forward to it, and I just hope the football is left pure. Let us enjoy one last good game of football to cap off the season. That's all I'm asking.
One can dream, right?
Yeah.
There was a big weekend in Indy this past weekend. WB came over and took over the city, to be honest, really the whole week. They had signs out there all over downtown. They had street names. It was like Best in the World for CM Punk, Liv Morgan Street, Bianca Belair Boulevard and stuff. It was tough. And, being Indy natives, like, it always feels good to see your city represented like that on such a national stage. And I feel like throughout the entire Rumble itself, they really showed a lot of love for the city of Indy, and it felt really good, because we from that.
Exactly. Yeah, it feels good to see the city, like you said, on that stage, getting the love, and you can see when certain events are put in cities or certain things happen, some cities just aren't equipped to deal with that type of thing, or they just don't have the venues, don't have the size, don't have the energy. Y'all can see Indianapolis is a nice place, man.
Great place.
And it upsets me when I hear the narratives like, oh, there's nothing to do in Indy. Maybe you don't know what to do. Maybe you don't know where to be at. But I feel like Indy's very eventful. Got some great things going on. When WrestleMania gets here,
oh, yeah.
I don't care if I got to live.
City can shut down.
I'm going to be that Squidward meme. I'll be outside in the cardboard
Spare
box.
change.
Bro, I don't care what I got to do to get there. Well, let me not say that.
Whoa.
Good word. Hold on. But,
There's some limits.
Right. But
not many, but there are some.
Within my own legal and moral limits, I will do whatever I got to do to get there. But, yeah, also, side note, shout out Darren, man. ATB got their credential, If you're not tapped in, it's going up over here. So
yeah,
we were represented at the Rumble, man.
Yeah, bro. To your point, man, I feel like a lot of times people hear Indianapolis and immediately just think Indiana,
Right.
and think everything's just cornfields and middle of nowhere. Like, I'd be lying if I said a lot of Indiana isn't like that.
Mm-hmm.
But smack dab in the middle of the state is one of the biggest cities in the Midwest, really the country, low-key.
Exactly.
And there's a lot to do in Indy. But like you said about the facilities and just, like, everything about it, like, Indy is one of the best sports cities in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when I say that, I'm not talking about just the Pacers, Fever, Colts, because those are only 3 pro teams we have. But every time they host something, they've hosted plenty of Final Fours. They hosted the entire March Madness tournament in 2021,
Mm-hmm.
the CFB National Championship, Super Bowls.
Pan Am Games used to be here.
Pan Am Games, the Olympic swim trials were here. That was a great turnout out there. It's like, and then the Royal Rumble was the third highest attended third highest attended WWE PLE ever, behind WrestleMania 41 night 1 and 2. So, Indy
Put some
shows
respect,
out.
man. Put some
Come on.
respect on the 317, dude.
Well, let's talk about the actual event. Let's just go chronological order. Actually, no. Let's get the tag team match out of the way. I feel like most people didn't really care about that. Now, I'd be lying if I said it wasn't necessarily a good match.
Mm-hmm.
They put on a good match, and Street Profits returning and going heel was great. Probably the best part of it.
Yeah,
But yeah, I just want to get that out of the way.
exactly.
Let's talk about the Women's Rumble.
Mm,
They cooked
I think so.
until the end.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
literally anybody else could have won it, and I'd have been cool. I'm so tired of Charlotte Flair, bro. Nepo baby, bro. Like, I saw somebody comment either on TikTok or Twitter. Why can't Charlotte ever just come back and not have the belt?
Yeah. Right.
Like, we've seen John Cena plenty of times, Randy Orton, like the faces of the WWE, men's or women's rosters. Just chill and still have such a pull, have such a draw, and be in the main card without having a belt or even contending for a belt all the time. But every single time we see Charlotte, she either has a belt or she just lost it and she's about to get it back.
I think that's a massive factor. And then you've got to add in the fact that her persona and character hasn't changed much in the past 20 years. Way too long. But past 10 years. And you think about Roman, he's now the model for how you transform a force-fed superstar. I think he came out the gate, had good buzz, but they packaged him into this corporate guy, and every WrestleMania, he's there, main event. Every pay-per-view, he's fighting for the belt. It went from that to you give him some authenticity, you rework his character, and now he's ascended to truly one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, and has backpacked that company until I'd say about 2023, 2024, when help arrived and Triple H got the helm and pieces came together. It was really just Roman for a while.
Yeah.
So I think they could take a page out of that book and rework Charlotte. Don't want to see her in the main event right now. Give her some time to put some talent over. We've got Bianca Belair. We've got Jade Cargill. You got Roxanne Perez. You've got a lot of these young, talented wrestlers that she could be working with and putting over, having fantastic matches with. But instead, they just threw her in, and now she's winning. And I don't think anyone's really all that interested in seeing her fight for a title again. So I'm not moved, but shout out Nikki Bella, man. That got me out my seat. Young me was... That did something to me, so good on WWE, bro.
Trish came out, man. Ooh. Shout out Trish Stratus. Really, like I said, I liked the Rumble. Like, the returns were good. The people that came out were good. Like, Alexa Bliss finally back. I love Alexa, like, through all her gimmicks, but especially the one that she was in before she took the hiatus to be a mom. And I mean, she's still in that gimmick now with, the Fiend. Like, the jacket was fire. Fiend Forever was fire. Her new theme is tough.
Yeah.
Like, I'm happy she came back, and I'm happy she got the pop she did. Also, Nikki Bella, shout out her. Shout out Trish Stratus.
Why couldn't Alexa win?
Anyone.
I'd rather see her win over Charlotte, and I'm not even the biggest Alexa Bliss fan.
Bro. Anyone. But yeah, like you talk about the young stars, and you mentioned Roxanne Perez. Like, shout out all the NXT superstars that came out there. Like, Roxanne is she had the longest time in the Rumble. She was third and finished runner up. Like, that's fire. She's a great wrestler.
Yeah.
But then also Lash Legend came out there. Jada Parker came out there. We were eating good.
Yep. Where was Jade though? Where was Jade
right?
Cargill, man?
Where was Jade?
Dang.
Like, that's one I really thought was gonna happen, and everybody's long shot that they want, including me, is AJ Lee.
Yeah,
I always want her to come out, but I thought for sure Jade would eventually. Like, that 30th one, I'm not mad at Nikki Bella.
No, not at all. Actually, yeah.
But I was kind of hoping it'd be Jade.
Yeah,
it should have been both of them.
Yeah.
The Cody and KO ladder match? Cook. Now, I know I had been saying I think KO's going to win, but what both of you have been saying, especially what G Money's been saying about they not going to have Cody lose it at a non-WrestleMania event, that makes sense. As I was like, as the whole week was unfolding, I'm like, okay, he's not losing it because it's the Royal Rumble. And it is one of their 4 flagships, but it's not WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And Cody is their top guy. He's literally the undisputed champion.
Mm-hmm.
So that match cooked.
Homelander Cody is here, man.
Man, he snapped.
That assault at the end.
I literally thought he killed Kevin Owens. Like, he killed that dude.
That's what we want to see, and I think that brutal. The best part of that character is he's gonna bring that brutal, ruthless mindset, but the other side of the character is so sophisticated, clean cut, corporate. But he's willing to like walk you down. It just like leave.
Cody Lander back, man.
We up, man. That was a fantastic way to end that
last time
match.
we even seen an Alabama Slam, let alone through a ladder off the top of the announce table?
And shout out KO, man. He takes some crazy spots.
Always.
He did that one last year at the Rumble. He let Roman throw him backwards, head first into the steel steps. I thought that was insane. There's not many guys willing to take that type of bump. So shout out KO.
When
man.
he spined first onto the ladder,
Yep.
like, yeah, it's not an actual steel ladder. We know that.
But still,
There's no way that doesn't hurt.
you go and do that.
Literally.
And tell me how
tell
you
me it's
feel.
fake after you go do that.
Right. Until then, I'm not trying to hear it.
It's crazy that KO is 0-6 at Royal Rumble though. For
My
a
boy
title
be taking
match.
them beatings. Man, during COVID, you remember when Roman put him in the golf cart and then hopped out and let him.
Yes,
They
like,
be beating KO to death, though.
always. And he takes the spots, like you said. Like, he's a tough dude. Like, that's why I want to see him at the end of all of this. I want to see him at least hold the belt once.
He deserves it
Because he hasn't been a champ for
years.
like 5 or 6
And
years.
he's put everyone over, did all the dirty work.
I will say, though, he has main evented WrestleMania like 3 times in the last 4 years.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I like the match. I like the match a lot. And like you said, he snapped at the end. Like, with the Alabama Slam, yes, but also after he went down, took the belts down, he went back over to the announce table and talked his shit.
Yeah.
And then he was like, Sammy, pick him up or something like that, and then left. Like, Cody Lander, he back, bro. I'm ready.
Oh, yeah.
And then finally we had the men's rumble. It's kind of on the same beat as the women's one, in my opinion. I think it cooked.
Okay.
It lacked some returns and some entrances, for sure. Because I mean, you know, we were talking about it the whole pod that we wanted Randy to come out, and that we thought
Randy should have
he
been
was
there.
going to win. And y'all know Randy Orton is my GOAT, so you can imagine the disappointment and anger I felt when number 30 was Logan Paul
Yeah.
and not Randy Orton. And then for Logan to go out there and eliminate CM Punk. Come on.
Nasty work. Oh, my goodness.
Why
I
is
don't
he even top 3?
I don't care. I understand what they were trying to set up and what they were trying to accomplish. And I guess we can get into the philosophy of that a bit later. But having Logan Paul be in the final 3 of your Royal Rumble is disrespectful to the actual wrestlers in the building. Not to say that he can't wrestle, but the people that do this day in and day out, go to your live shows. I'm not a fan. I don't like that. He didn't deserve that moment.
It's so corporate.
Yeah.
Like y'all have the partnership with Prime and all that, but come on, bro.
That moment could have been better spent on a guy like L.A. Knight, Braun Breaker. Man, shout out to the dogs in the city. All these different guys that could have used that rub of being in the final 3, you know, but instead Logan Paul got it.
What are we doing?
No.
Like, usually I'm all for Triple H and his moves and everything, but that was bad.
Yeah.
The speed segment, that was cool.
Funny. Yeah,
That was cool.
That was funny.
Because Brian Breaker literally killed that man. But I didn't like the Ludwig Kaiser segment. Him just walking out there and just standing out there and waiting, and then he gets eliminated in 2 seconds. Y'all could have used that spot for somebody else.
Yeah.
But I loved the fact that we actually got to see Joe Hendry.
That was amazing.
Sorry. In the Rumble, bro. Like, soon as I saw the JH say his name, man,
That was elite.
I was lit. Because I love Joe Hendry, bro. I love that giving.
Yeah.
I believe that's hard.
It is. It is.
But how did you feel about the finish?
Okay. So I know we just said we were going to talk about the philosophy of it. I like, first of all, that moment where we get Roman, Punk, and Cena just all staring at each other, about to face off, was beautiful. That was perfect. They were showing the Team USA graphic with Steph, KD, and Bron. I was like, that's a perfect representation.
They're saying that was Thor, Cap, and Iron Man.
Honestly, like, that was a beautiful segment, beautiful shot. And then Seth coming in to break that up, I thought was perfect as well. Another moment when Seth gets in there and then Roman realizes and he's in the corner looking at him, another perfectly executed shot. Whoever called that, A+, A+ job. However, I'm not upset that none of the three of them were in the final three. I like the way that they did it. I just, like I said, I don't like how we got there. I don't like Logan Paul being the one to eliminate a star like CM Punk. I thought the post segment was amazing. The double stomp on Roman, greatly executed. I think the plan is for a triple threat to happen at WrestleMania with the three of them. That's what I've been seeing a lot on Twitter, so I'm down for that. But it also, the pro of that was it gave you a sense of openness for the final three. You know, you kind of concluded Logan Paul is not going to win. You're not that serious about him. But it's like, are we actually going to let John Cena come back and get the Rumble and secure that match for 17 at WrestleMania? Or is it going to be Jay with the underdog story? So I like the writing and how open that ending was. And I thought the final moments between Cena and Uso were really well executed. So my only gripe was Logan Paul being there in the end and then being the one to eliminate a guy like CM Punk.
Yeah. Like you said, just the storytelling of everything centered around Roman, John, CM Punk, Seth, perfect. Loved it. I would have loved it even better if Randy was in the center of that, even though I know he's in the center of the storyline with Cody and KO and Sammy. So it might have felt a little out of place, but just because there's a bunch of legends in there, Randy would have fit, you know.
Perfectly.
But, yeah, a lot of people were mad that, obviously people are going to be mad John Cena lost. That's, I mean, that's like when Braun loses the final.
Yeah.
You know. And it's his last time. Whatever, I get it. But Jay, I think Jay deserves this. He put in so much work. And, you know, you said Roman was like the reason the company stayed afloat. You got to throw the Usos in there.
Yeah.
Especially Jay, because that's when Roman and Jay had that beef about the whole championship. And then Roman was like, bro, you can't beat me. You might as well join me. And he eventually did. Like, the bloodline has been the story that's kept WWE afloat.
Yeah.
So I think Jay deserves it. And, I mean, we talked about this a little bit ago. He's so over.
Oh, it's crazy.
I mean, as soon as you hear, just me, Oos, everybody in the crowd is start throwing their hands up and down. Even the lights do it, which is hard.
Like, it's really reminiscent of Daniel Bryan with the whole Yes Movement thing. Like, you see these guys get to a spot, and it was obviously Cody on the build. You had it for a moment, which I think they squandered in LA Knight. You had it with Daniel Bryan. You had it with The Fiend for a moment. Now you've got Jey Uso, and he is so over. He's red hot. Shout out to Triple H for capitalizing on this moment And if this is done correctly, he can be the next superstar in the company. I'm not saying he'll be the face of the company, but he can be a long-term main event player.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited to see. Obviously, I mean, he could lose.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm excited to see Jay finally get a singles champion.
Oh, man, it's going to be amazing.
But we can talk about the road to WrestleMania further down as we go, and especially once G-Money comes back.
Yep.
But that'll do it for this episode. I appreciate y'all tuning in. As always, check us out on all socials at The Buzzer Official in some way or form on everything.
Right, yeah.
Colin Hatfield Show still going strong. 365 days of posting. What are you on now? 36?
36? I'm pretty sure it's 36.
Make sure y'all go check all that out, man. Appreciate y'all.